For my boxing and MMA gym owners, today I'm going to share with you the 5 parts to value. And what this will do for you will be epic because, first thing, it'll keep you on track and it'll minimize that anxiety and those monkeys that are screaming in your head at 2 a.m. But before I get going, thank you for taking the time to listen. But I want to share a little story with you, and it's about my son. And if you know me, I'm so vested in my family, my 2 boys, and my 2 amazing girls. My youngest son, he and I were outside playing football, and he's preparing for a flag football season. The first time he played, they went undefeated and won a Super Bowl. This time, we're planning on aligning principles so there's more of a takeaway because that's not obtainable every time. Going undefeated, skunking everybody basically that you play with, that's not sustainable. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share a story because he's very intelligent, and sometimes that could be a good thing and a bad thing. But we were outside, it's nice South Florida day, 87 degrees, sun is shining. Matter of fact, when you go outside, you can feel the heat instantly. The humidity is not actually supposed to be where it is, but it was hot and it was beautiful. We were out there throwing the ball. So behind us, there's this fence. And when I was growing up, every house had a fence pretty much. But so we were throwing the ball. Kid has an arm. He was throwing 30 yards, 35 yards, effortless. He's 10. So we were throwing back and forth, and several times the ball had bounced after he missed it and hit the top of the fence. But this last time, I threw the ball and it actually bounced and it went over the fence. So I was like, okay, you're going to get over the fence and grab it for me or whatever, do something. So when he did that, he looked at me and I said, that's a look of uncertainty. And so I knew at that point in time, he wasn't comfortable climbing the fence. Now, let me make it clear, this fence is covered with this vine and trees are all over the top of the fence. So when you see this, it definitely looks like almost like a Tarzan movie. But we have to make sure that messaging with our youth is important. So I looked at him and I said, when I grew up, this is all we did, climb fences. This was like the secondary thing. You start to play, and sooner or later, the fence is going to be a part of your day, climbing it. So with that being said, I said, never mind. You know what? I'll take liberty and I'll do it. So he was standing there and he was looking at me. So I climbed the fence. I said, you're going to let old man climb the fence? So I climbed the fence, went over, and I started to look around and I finally found the ball. Long story short, by the time I found the ball, he had found the confidence to then climb over the fence with me. And I said, now, why would you climb over the fence now? I got the ball. And he was like, he looked at me and I always try to connect because it's important that the people that are in our lives, we understand their thought process. So basically, he wanted to see it done because it's not something that's in his natural DNA to climb over a fence. And so I took it with a grain of salt and I said, all right, I get it. You wanted to see how it's done and then do it. That gives confidence. And so this is where this connects to what we are about to get into. Sometimes you do not have confidence in what you are doing until you see someone else do it. That's why people look at Mavericks in such a bright light. If you look at Tom Cruise, someone who goes out there and just makes things happen. If you think of Some of these guys out here in YouTube land, let's just say Jake Paul, for instance, a maverick, someone who jumps first, asks questions later. For those of you who are a little older, we remember John Wayne and Bruce Lee, someone who jumps out there and they just make things happen. Elon Musk went into unfiltered territory and just paved a way to technology. Steve Jobs, mavericks, people who don't have to wait. They can't wait. They just go. Well, that's what I think of myself when I think of boxing. There are things that I needed to see because I had to know that it existed. But there are things that I didn't need to see, things that didn't exist. Paving a way is my natural DNA. And so, with that being said, that's what this is about. We're paving a way because a lot of boxing gym owners and MMA gym owners did not have a blueprint on some of the things that are required in business. They knew how to acquire pads, they knew how to acquire mats, they knew how to acquire gloves and bags and rings and all of the things that we use, but they were not shown that there is also another thing that you're going to need to know how to do, and that's to actually run a business. So that's what we're here to do. We're going to start by paving a way so your inner maverick can come out. And we're going to start off with the 5 values that you're going to need for growth, for prosperity, to remind you of why you started this and what needs to be a part of your business. So, with no further ado, we're going to get into it. The first thing I'll have you do is think about, why did you start? All right. So, we're going to start off with mission and vision. Your mission and vision are as follows. And I know we conversate about this with my guys in the School of Boxing, the Top Trainer U program. But the key is to really understand what that means, because we're in day and age of messaging is Bible. So you got to learn how to go about doing it. And yes, it's a responsibility for you who are gym owners and master trainers. You have to understand this. It's not an option. Until you learn to delegate and build a team around you, then you got to know it yourself. This is how you draw people to you, attract the right people, the people that you actually want to service. This is how you do that. So, your mission is the reason you open the business in the first place. All right. So, write out your mission. I remember a couple of decades ago when I first was introduced to mission statements, and I really didn't know what it was. And I finally did it. And once we got it done, I realized there are more to this thing called business than I thought, or training than I thought. And it is. It's a lot more to it. So respect people who are in skilled positions that get hired for these kind of tasks. So, but no story there. That's kind of my story short. But the reality is this: after you understand what your mission is, it has to take time for you to digest it and make it a part of your DNA. There's cognitive mastery, which is when you're aware of something. There's emotional mastery, when you've been aware of it and you've started to embed it into your DNA. And then there's physical mastery, when you can crank it out and your inner maverick comes front and center and it starts to become how you operate. That's it, kind of in a nutshell. So I hope you guys are staying with me. Continue to get your notes out, because next is your vision. Your vision is the picture of success that you have in your head. It's the vision that when you go to bed at night, or you're sharing it with your partner or your friends or your family, it's that vision, that spectacle of what does that thing look like? Shiny objects, cool, refreshing air blowing through it, very positive vibrations, good energy, colors, dark, strong colors, or metallic, shiny. You have a vision of what this place looks like. You can see world-class trainers working with elderly people and helping out people who are least fortunate physically or less athletic, and grooming them, and therapists, massage therapists, and yoga instructors doing savasana and warrior poses and up facing dogs and down dogs and triangles. You have a vision of what this thing looks like, and it's coming full circle. When you think about it and you write it out, that's what you're responsible to do before we go into the 5 parts of value. I hope you're staying with me here, because this is the very beginning of something that's going to be an ongoing, and it's not a trend. It's what you need to be a part of your fiber, the fiber of your business, the fiber of your company, the effervescence of what people think about when they think about going to have an experience in your industry. Okay. You're going to also learn how to create your direct messaging to exactly who you're needing to talk to, how you're needing to talk to them. So 5 parts of value. Number 1, empathy. And why do we say this? Empathy. Nowadays, it's a big deal when people figure out how to start a sentence when they post something in social media. But the reality is, as far back as marketing has been, and we're talking about ever since there's been newspapers, people have known this formula. The thing about it is, you have to realize and understand that you need to know what exists. And so, therefore, that's why we are doing what we're doing. Empathy, number 1. It can't be about you, because when people start to think that it's about them, they instantly begin to lose value with their customers. All right. As I say that again, they instantly begin to lose value with their customers, their clients. And if you think it's about your skills and your techniques, and you're wrong. People are in front of you for their purpose. And if you don't understand how to carry that out, you're going to be rudely awakened sooner or later, sooner than later. People have options. Don't get cocky. Empathy. So have empathy for people's agenda. Next, attention. You must understand how to pay attention to the project at hand. Okay? The agendas that are in front of us, the people who've made a decision and a conscious effort to have you as their liaison. And don't take that lightly. I don't take lightly that you're here listening to this on our feed. That's why the first thing that I did is thank you and appreciate you for choosing to be here. So pay attention, listen, see. There's a reason why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you can listen more, talk less. Number 3, excellence. Deliver excellence. And it's not judged by you, it's judged by them. Don't just do enough to get by. There's so much in this conversation that we'll get into later. When you are part of the live master class workshop, we'll get into conversations on going a lot deeper into each one. And of course, you'll have a lot of line items and an opportunity to stack and implement some of the most profound things to turn your company around and make you relevant. And not only relevant, but put you at the top of that food chain. Next is appreciation. Appreciate your people, thank your people, hug your people virtually or however. Show appreciation, because these are the things that a lot of people aren't conscious of how to do these days. They just do it. They just show up. They hope that the person is just glad that they showed up. But when your customer, your client is there, they want more. Sometimes they don't know exactly what it is. You have to. You have to be able to give. You have to be able to bring value to them. Okay, so, and last but not least, in the 5 parts of value is perfect ending. That no matter who you speak to, but those who in the wealthy category, lifestyle wise, they have the money, they have the circle, and they have the last and not least thing that all of them have in common, and that's consistency. So you have to be consistent with all of the 5 parts: attention, empathy, excellence, and appreciation. You have to be consistent in all of these areas. And as I wrap this around, I told my child the exact same thing. When you find that thing that you had to hurdle over to get you to a place where you're comfortable doing these things, it requires first understand number 1, emotional and cognitive mastery, which is 1 and 2. Cognitive, emotional, and physical. The only way to get to physical mastery is to be consistent. The only way to get from cognitive to emotional is to be consistent. And the only way to get from emotional to physical mastery is consistency. The only way to create impact on learning this kind of stuff is to be consistent learning it. So my biggest advice to my child at this time is, when you get off of this fence today, tomorrow you come back over here and you climb it again. And then the next day you get up, you climb it again. And every time you do it, that fear goes away a little more. And so that's exactly what will happen. The more you start to do it repetitiously, the more impact it has in your confidence, in your ability to do it second nature. You can climb that fence without thinking about it. You can start to run your company without even thinking about it. Everybody's on the same page. It's running systematically. You've gone from hustling and a business operator to running an operation with all of the pieces in place, understanding the delegation, understanding how to feed your customers and listen to your customers exactly what they need in order to serve them. These are the 5 parts of value. And I hope you guys take great liberty and to begin to be on this feed with us as we start to move into our masterclass workshop, where you will learn how to first get all of these things in alignment, and then really learn how to market yourself and your company and run this thing. Advertise what you've learned about serving these people in a way that they know that you're here for them and not there for your own ego. And we're going to make sure that your mindset is in the right place, because no one in our world was groomed to be a CEO. And that will be your takeaway with our masterclass workshop. So thank you guys for taking the time. Let's start grooming you daily. Follow us over at Jab Juice Branding Wizards. Jab Juice is going to be the reason you have a fair chance to run your business and become number 1 in your industry, in the niche that only you specialize in. That's all I got, guys. Continue to follow us. Make sure you go over to Jab Juice, Branding Wizards. And I'll see you soon in the winner's circle. Special shouts out to my brothers in the School of Boxing. Peace. Peace.